Howdy folks, how are we all doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. I hope you're able to find the love and that you're able to witness the blessings that are present in life in these very, very difficult times. It's really hard, my friends, but we're all in this one together. With this in mind, I'm offering these devotions as offering a little bit of hope, I suppose, doing what I can do, playing my role in being part of the solution. I can't help medically, but I can offer sustenance for the heart, the mind, the spirit and the soul to help keep us going in these difficult times. These devotions are offered as a balm for the heart, the mind, the spirit and the soul. And today's reflection is entitled, Become What You Are. So I invite us to still ourselves. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us. I have lit the flame of freedom in this cup of belonging, of acceptance and of love. We join together in our physical separation, apart physically, but united in our devotion to life and to love. With this devotion, help us to sing for joy like the blackbirds I heard singing the other morning while at the crematorium. They sing their faith in being alive and being here. They sang so sweetly they blessed those of us mourning that day. What a blessing they were. And may we also know the deep connections that sustain us, like those great trees around the same crematorium, that those deep roots that hold them, that sustain them, and we have deep roots too, that nurture us and hold us so close and sustain us beneath the physical surface of our lives. They're much deeper. May we be unafraid to explore the depths of our lives, the depths of our being, those many, many layers of life that we rarely go near. Help us to remember that we're deeply connected in heart, mind, spirit and soul. Well, as we feel we can't hold those physical connections, help us to remember those other connections that will sustain us in this time. Help us to be open to all that the day brings. Help us to be open to all that life offers, and help us to offer all that we have to life, to sing like the blackbird sings. Sing the joy of living in all its mystery. Help us to become vessels of love this day and in all the days to come. Amen. I'm going to begin today's devotion with a poem by Rami Shapiro. The poem is a kind of question. Do I matter? Do I matter by Rami Shapiro. Standing before the one who is all the world, can it be that I matter? Can it be that such a small thing as me has a place in such a grand scheme? And yet it is so. I am empty of permanence. I do not endure. My days are limited and too few to fulfill the desires of my heart. I am so small and temporary, and yet so important. This pile of dust speaks. This bag of skin thinks. This frail body acts and makes a difference. I am the only me that has ever been. I am shaken by the knowledge that I never existed before and will not again. The source rebirths, but never repeats. Infinite possibility demands infinite diversity. Whatever I must do here and now. Whatever gift I am to give, I must give it here and now. Whatever purpose I am to fulfill, I must fulfill it here and now. I am what I am here and now. I am what I do with who I am. That's who I am. I am what I do with who I am. That's who I am. I love to talk with people. Actually, I love to listen to people. I'm missing it. I can talk in this way and through Zoom and other things, but it's not quite the same as sitting physically next to another human being and listening to them, talking with them. I talk with the people I live with, but we're limited to 3. You know, when I'm in conversation, generally I don't do much of the talking. People might find that hard to believe, but it's true. And I was like this as a child in the company of family. Mostly I watched and listened. I paid attention. In many ways, I suspect that this is my natural state. This is the way I like to be. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to talk too. I love to be listened to by others. But the majority of my time, I watch and I listen. Maybe that's why ministry suits me, because it's mostly about listening and observing, opening up all your senses, absorbing all it all in, absorbing everything, digesting what you absorb, and then bringing something from this digestion, bringing something back. Hopefully that somebody else can absorb and digest. It's almost as if all that I experience in my life feeds into these times when I share with others, whether it's physically or virtually. I do offer thanks for those who read my work and listen to the things I have to say. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. But most importantly, I want to thank all the people that share with me. Thank you for all that I've listened to and continue to listen to. I was listening to someone recently who was talking to me about identity and how your upbringing shapes who you are, good or bad. He told me something rather wonderful, and I hope what he told me is true, but I've not yet been able to verify it, so who knows, it might be mythos. He told me that there's a tradition among the Bantu people of southern Africa. He told me that it is said that the Bantu people sneak into the rooms of their children at night. As their children sleep, they go up to their children and they whisper to them in their ears. They say, "Become what you are. Become what you are." Become what you are. Not become who you are, but what you are. I thought to myself, how wonderful it must be to have that song singing in your soul while you sleep as you grow and develop. It got me thinking about who or what I am, who or what I have been, and who or what I might yet become. The truth is, throughout our lives, we never stop becoming or maybe unbecoming who we are. I try not to be too unbecoming these days, but sometimes I can be. I was out visiting a little while ago. Again, I spent most of that day sitting and listening with people. And I then drove home and spent another hour or so on the phone catching up with family. Oh, I wish I had more time and energy to do more of this, or at least when we could. And how I am missing this vital aspect of ministry in these times of physical separation. So later that day I was on the phone with my brother, someone who has known me from the first day of my life, someone who still likes to correct my English and grammar, by the way. Did it today. I was talking with my big brother and we talked about many things, the state of our lives and what his kids were up to. You know, on that conversation they actually let him speak, which is not always the case. We talked about music, we talked about the world, we talked about the faith, and we talked about cricket. Actually, mainly we talked about cricket. We're both great Yorkshire exiles, you know. And then he asked me what I was going to be doing that evening, and it was a little while ago, and I said, well, I'm going to be watching the Chelsea and Leicester City match, and then I might watch some Italian football on BT Sport. And he said something to me that I found a little strange. Where the heck did you get your love for football from? I was never that into it. Our dad certainly wasn't interested, and Dave, our stepfather, when we were children, wasn't into it really either. I remember feeling a little defensive at the time and thinking not everything I did in my life was following you or older males in the family. I thought even our Alan, our older stepbrother, who was Mr. Super Sportsman in the family, was more into rugby and cricket than football. And even my granddad was more into rugby league than football, really. That said, we always talked about football. A lot, actually, in the last few years of his life. I remember just days before he died, when he was very weak, one of the first questions he asked me was, "How are we getting on?" And do you know what he was asking me? He was asking me how Leeds United were getting on. They were the we he referred to, of course. How are we getting on? We weren't doing that great, to be fair. But a little better than my granddad, sadly. So while we were talking, I paused and I considered my brother's question and retraced where the love of football came from. And the truth is, I don't know where it came from. It's always been there. It's just something I love and I have always loved. As a young boy, I was obsessed. As I told him, all we ever did at school was play football at break time, at dinner time, and I was always pretty rubbish, to be honest, but I loved to play. Actually, many people these days are surprised when they discover this about me, because I don't go on about it like some people in Manchester would do. Maybe it's because Leeds aren't so great, I don't know. No, it's just the way I am. I don't go on about things unless people want to know. But I do love football. And I don't think it's particularly strange, actually. It's hardly a minority sport. It's not like I'd say I love lacrosse. Quite a few people do. So it's kind of funny, really, that people would be so surprised. But there you go. Maybe they expect something different from me. Maybe people don't see me as I am. It's interesting, isn't it? To be what I am. People don't always see what you are. They see what they think you are. They project something else onto you. But what I think really got to me about the conversation and the questioning of my love is the assumption that I only love and like what are due to the influence of others. That who I am and who each of us are is based on the influence of the elders in our communities. That who we are uniquely is shaped entirely by external influences. That to be who and what we are is based primarily on the senior influences in our lives. It got me thinking, it got me feeling, it got me watching, and most of all, it got me listening. It awakened my homiletic consciousness, if you like. It got me thinking about who we are and more importantly, what we are. What shapes us? Is it our environment, our ancestry, our culture? How do we become who or what we are? As time went by, someone or something kept on whispering in my ear, "Become what you are. Become what you are." So the first thought came from one of my ministerial influences, Forest Church, and his little mantra, "Want what you have, do what you can, be who you are." It was the last bit, "be who you are" or "what you are," that was singing in my ears. It was my song for a few days, really. It brought to mind Reverend Peter Friedrich's reflection on "be who you are." He suggested that most of what we learn to be comes from childhood emulation. That despite being rational, discerning people, we learn most of what we know by copying the elders in our lives, like a giant game of follow me leader. Monkey see, monkey do. In many ways, our whole culture is based upon this, that to be successful, we have to look and be a certain way. Just think about the whole advertising industry that is driven by this sense of dissatisfaction because we are not living up to what we're supposed to be. And that's supposed to be a good thing, that by seeing what is wrong with us, we will somehow become better. We are visually bombarded and our ears are sound blasted by this ideal of what we ought to be. Of course, we all follow to some degree or another. If only someone or something was whispering in our ears as we slept at night, telling us, "Become what you are." Never mind who you are. Become what you are. Become what you are. Now, there seems to be two ways that most folk view life. Either everything matters or nothing matters. Sadly, I was one of those folk who believed for a long time that nothing really mattered, that there was no meaning to life. I don't see life this way any longer, and in so doing I've become something else. I believe that this is what I've become, actually. You see, to live in such a way that everything matters is to become what I really am, you know. To live in such a way that everything matters is me becoming what I actually am. That's who I really am. The heart me, not the fear me. The courageous me. This is the voice I've been hearing speaking to me through all life, whether awake or when I've been asleep, that everything matters, that every single one of us matters, as does everything else out there, that everything is sacred, every feeling, every thought, every word, every deed matters, every life is precious. That's why I get so upset when I hear people dismissing because it's only the elderly or the sick that are dying from this illness. My goodness, who has the right to say that? Everybody matters. Who's to say what's sacred? And it matters who you are, and it matters what you are, and it matters what you are. 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 Each of us belong here. We each have a place here. We each have gifts to offer life. We each have a bliss that we must follow. And my bliss is to become what you are. You know, while we're all part of a greater whole, we all make this greater whole at the same time. We are each as sacred and unique. And we have to recognise this in order to serve life. And to serve life, we need to truly become who and what we are. We need to fully embrace exactly what we are as we are right now. This is not easy, and it certainly isn't pain-free. But it's absolutely vital to both ourselves and all life. We need to truly become what we are. To truly become what we are is to take our place fully in life. You see, we never take this journey of becoming what we are alone. We need others to accompany us, to whisper in our ears, especially when we are asleep. Become what you are. Become what you are. We do not sail the ship of life alone. We are relational beings. We are co-created. We are part of the ongoing co-creation which continues way beyond our lifespans, as it began way before we were even here. We are all part of this amazing thing called life, a tiny but vital aspect. And the whole of life keeps on whispering to us, if we had ears to hear, become what you are. Become what you are. We are needed and wanted and dearly loved by life itself. Life needs us to become what we are, to dance the dance that is our dance, to take our turn in leading and sometimes following. Life needs us to become what we are and to put our whole being, our whole selves into becoming what we are. For in so doing, the very ordinariness of our daily living will become truly extraordinary. Become what you are. Become what you are. I'm going to end this reflection before I pop, I think, with a short tale from the wisdom of Anthony de Mello. It goes by the title, Most Wonderful Hash. What's so original about this man? Asked a visitor. All he gives you is a hash of stories, proverbs and sayings from other masters. A woman disciple smiled. She once had a cook, she said, who made the most wonderful hash in the world. How on earth did he make it, dear? You must give me the recipe. Well, the cook's face glowed with pride. She said, well, Ma'am, I'll tell you. Beef's nothing, pepper's nothing, onions nothing. But when I throws myself into the hash, that's what makes it what it is. So let's throw our whole selves in, our whole selves out, in, out, and shake it all about. No, let's throw our whole selves in. For if we do, we will make something extraordinary. That's what makes it what it is. Let's become what we are. Let's become what we are. I'm going to end today's blessing, today's reflection with some words of blessing. You know, let's bless more. We need to bless more. We can all bless. We need to bless more. And we bless by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin today. Let's give our whole hearts to life. So I offer some final words of blessing. Go in peace, embraced by the light and the warmth of this time together. Go in love, ready again to struggle on, and go in beauty, shining forth like a lamp for freedom. And may the infinite light of love shine in and through us all, and may it do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.